Well, hello everyone. I'm Pandi of Pandi's Hair, Candy, and More. If this is your first time stopping by my channel, welcome. If we are already chat family, welcome back. You all, today I am coming to you with a little bit of different content. I have been fortunate enough to be asked by Marlene of Living Your Best Life to participate in her Healing Your Relationships conference. So I'm very excited yet very nervous because you all know my channel is pretty much based on hair, both my natural hair journey and my love for wigs, right? So every once in a while, I will come on and share um, information and news that I feel like we can all use. But I've never spoke in an online virtual conference. So bear with me today. Pray for me. And if you enjoy the commentary, please don't forget to blow dry on the like button for me. And if you really enjoy it and you find value in the commentary, please go ahead and subscribe. It is free 99 after all. It does not cost you a thing. So, without further ado, I want to welcome you all for stopping by. Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy day to come and hear what have I to say to you on today. Now, today my topic is healing family relationships. Again, this is the Healing Your Relationships conference. And the topic for me is dealing with healing your family relationships. Now, initially, I'm going to be honest, I was like, I don't really want to talk about that. But then I thought about it and I prayed about it and I thought about it and I prayed about it. And the word that kept coming back to me was, Pandy, you are a mother of three. You are a wife. You are a grandmother. You are a sister, an auntie, a niece, a friend, a cousin, a granddaughter. You know you've had to do some healing to a lot of relationships. And why not you? So I had to humble myself. I had to humble myself and just dig deep within. And like I said, a lot of prayer. So I hope that what I have to share today helps someone. I do have notes and I won't be before you long. But as I stated, guys, um, over here for the most part, this is a hair channel. However, it is a and more on the end of my name. So I do a whole wide variety of different content over here, from product reviews to TV show reviews to games to networking for the platform to and more and more and more. I cover trending topics and so much more. But on today, I'm going to put on my public speaking hat and come to you all humbly with 10 tips on healing your family relationships. Okay? So, without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and get started with my commentary. Again, I thank you for taking time to be here. I appreciate you all, and I hope to see you again soon. Now, let me get started with today's conversation. So, as I stated, I have notes here, and I'm going to be talking to you all. I tried to summarize 10 tips and some key points that I feel are going to help someone. And if just one person is helped by the words that I share on today, I've done my part. I've done my part, and God is pleased with what I'm doing. Okay? So, as I stated, I took 10 tips that I've personally helped me with my family relationships. Okay? And I'm going to get into them, but I'm going to also offer commentary to expound upon those tips just a bit more. And I promise we won't be here long. So now, let's jump right in to this commentary, guys. Now, we're talking about dealing with damaged family relationships here, okay? And we all know that family relationships can often be fickle. You can find yourself in some type of conflict with different family members, and that can lead to anything from a stint of a silent treatment to cutting family members off completely. It's unhealthy, it doesn't sound good, but it happens, right? Now, our response, of course, depends on the particular conflict and how we choose to communicate with that family member or members going forward. So, what we have to do is we have to initially identify what the main cause of the family conflict is. I think that's pretty much the first step. If you are in a position where you want to actually heal that relationship, you're in a position where you've identified, this is not healthy, we can't continue going forward like this, something needs to give. You have to start by identifying what triggered this main cause. How did this conflict even arise, right? Now, research says that family conflict is most often caused by a difference of opinion or a belief over an important issue or what you deem to be an important issue. Because let's face it, what I deem as important may not be important to you, and vice versa. Now, even though you're part of the same family, you don't always see eye to eye with your family members, okay? Especially on touchy matters or sticky situations. And more times, more often than not, we tend to disagree. It's just, I don't know, it's in every family dynamic. It doesn't matter the background, the socio-economical makeup. It just happens within all families. Okay? Now, these disagreements don't have to be earth-shattering, but sometimes they do explode into something bigger. And family members oftentimes don't expect it to go that far, but sometimes it does. And when an argument goes south, sometimes that can cause a deep rift among the families and the family members, and that sometimes results in the severance of communication and affection, you know? And that's when you notice that you're kind of growing distant and becoming distant with the family members. Not a good feeling at all. Now, as I stated, I feel personally that every family does have problems. Some may not be as widespread as others, but I do think that every family has problems. And we're going to talk about them. We're going to talk about them, just touch on the surface, and then again, I have compiled a list of 10 tips to kind of help us initially, if you are at that place in your life, if you're at that space where, speaking from personal experience, you are sick and tired of being sick and tired, and you want to be the bigger person in this particular situation and be the first to kind of extend an olive branch to making things right, then I think what I will be sharing in this conversation today will be helpful for you. Okay? Now, we know there's not a single family in the world that doesn't deal with problems. As I've shared, I think that all families go through problems and conflicts from time to time. The difference is among families, I feel, is just the way that you choose to deal with them. Some families can easily resolve their differences, and some families, it's to the grave, it's to the dirt. Okay? And what do you do then? Now, some families are fiery and vivacious, and they allow their emotions to overtake them whenever an issue arises. And some families can say, you know what, we're going to have a family meeting. We're going to sit down at the table and we're going to talk about this and we're going to work through this and get this resolved. Now, not every family can do that. Not every family has that dynamic makeup. You know what I'm saying? Each type of family is going to handle conflicts differently depending on past generations and how they were taught to deal with issues. And there's nothing inherently wrong with one way or the other. As long as at the end of the day, you are trying to resolve the issue, you're trying to heal that family relationship. Again, that's what we're here to talk about today. Now, using proper communication skills as opposed to acting out of emotion will encourage healing instead of broken and damaged relationships. And I think that's one small, simple step that oftentimes goes overlooked. It sounds simple, it sounds minute, but how often do we forget? If we just slow down and exercise proper communication skills, we could be that much closer to our healing that family relationship. Now, if you are like me and you've experienced the demise of a family relationship or you are uncertain of how to patch things up with a family relationship, I'm going to share 10 tips with you that perhaps can help you kind of get you in the right direction so that you can move towards healing. Because at the end of the day, family is all we truly have. Yes, we have friends, we have peers, we have acquaintances, we have associates, we may even have co workers or business partners or business associates. But at the end of the day, family should have each other's back. And if you're dealing with a situation where you are in a volatile, fractured, kind of up and down family dynamic, that's not good and it doesn't feel good. So I hope that these 10 tips will help you get moving in the right direction. So I'm going to go ahead and share them. Now, step number one, I encourage you, take notes. Sometimes it's helpful to go back and just review them. I know for me, oftentimes I'll take notes when I'm hearing someone speak, and I'll never go back to the notes because as I'm writing them down, they're just like being transcribed into my memory bank, and I always remember them. I have a photographic memory, I never forget. But I encourage you, write them down or come back to this video. I hope that it helps at least one person to move closer to healing your broken or damaged family relationship. Okay? So, step number one is to accept the situation as it is. Accept the situation. You don't want to be that person that walks around in denial, like, you hear your son or your daughter cussing you out and disrespecting you, but in front of people you're acting like everything's all peachy. No, that's not accepting things as they are. Or maybe you're that person that's cussing your parent out or disrespecting your parent. Mm-mm, unacceptable. Whatever the case may be, keep in mind, those are just some examples I'm throwing out there. Accept it, own it, walk in it. That's number one. Accept the situation as it is. When facing a conflict with a family member, one of the most important things that you can do is accept the situation as it is. Establish that you're in a disagreement and recognize that you want to fix it. Now, of course, this doesn't mean the conflict uh, won't cause, a call to action or call for a call to action. If you want to improve the situation and work through the conflict, you absolutely will have to have some type of call to action. But don't be that person that accepts the situation and does nothing to resolve it, unless that's simply the response of your choice. But again, we're dealing with step one, accepting the situation as it is. Now, step number two, recognize the part you play. This might get a little uncomfortable. It doesn't always feel good when we have to do some introspection and take a look at self to see, what role did I play in making that thing get so ugly? How did this thing blow up so large? Why did it get here? How did we get here? Take a look and recognize the part that you play, is tip number two. Family conflicts are rarely one sided, guys. You may be at odds with a family member because you've done something wrong, but there's always two sides to every story. Now, keep in mind, you don't have to be hard on yourself or come at yourself with judgment, but look at the situation as fact. Be impartial. Look at the argument from both ends of the spectrum and understand that you may play just as big of a part in the conflict as your family member or members, because typically it ain't just one person. You may have multiple people in your family that you're going at it with, and maybe for various reasons. But tip number two is to recognize your part, walk in your part, stand in it, own it. This is going to be the only way that you can start to address it and deal with it. Okay? Now, tip number three. Again, may get a little bit uncomfortable. Put yourself in their shoes. Put yourself in their shoes. In any type of conflict, it is highly useful to put yourself in the other person's shoes. Looking at the situation from the perspective of your family member will allow you to see an altered opinion from their point of view. It's easy to stick strictly with our own convictions and place blame on the other person, especially when you're angry or out of hurt, or you're simply stubborn and stuck in your ways. But I promise you, once you are able to view the situation through the other party's eyes, you'll see things completely differently, and you will be enlightened on how you may have hurt them instead of focusing your attention on maybe it being the other way around. Now, tip number four. Tip number four. Understand that healing will take time. This is not going to be an overnight process, guys. This is something that will take a little bit of time and a little bit of effort. But if it's something that you want to do, you're really at a place in your life where you're ready to start healing that family relationship, you'll walk in that. You'll understand and recognize that the healing is going to take time. As convenient as it would be, no one, absolutely no one, can wave a magic wand and heal all the wounds between you and your family. Healing takes time, and the situation must be treated with gentleness, compassion, and understanding. And I know that's a lot easier said than done, especially when you're dealing with deep-rooted hurt and anger. Now, you may move on from the situation much quicker than your family or your family members, and vice versa. Everyone heals differently through their own timeline and must be afforded the opportunity to reach a reconciliation point on their own terms. So just know, Rome wasn't built in one day. Healing is going to take time. Tip number 5. Break the big picture into manageable conversations. I like that. Break it down. Don't try to tackle it all at once. Break it down. Don't try to resolve everything all at once. This means sometimes that healing conversations will have to occur little by little over time, and that you'll have to give your family member that you may have a damaged relationship with a little bit of time and a little bit of space in between conversations, so that they can kind of regroup and recharge. Every small conversation is a step towards healing. Acknowledge it as progress and allow each conversation to build another part of the bridge that your relationship is under construction. Okay? Now, tip number 6. Initiate communication. Initiating communication shows that you care enough to make the first move. Like I said initially, you take the initiative to be the bigger person in healing whatever the damaged family relationship is. Take that initiative. Initiate that communication. You care enough to want to resolve the discord, and you're willing to show that by establishing open communication. Tip number 7. Establish common ground. When in a conflict with your family member, sometimes it helps to ease tension by discovering a common ground. You and your family may have had similar experiences with another family member, or you may have lived through the same types of challenges or difficulties. Find whatever it is that connects you with your family member and play off of that. Remind them that you're both human and that you both experience similar things. Also, that you are sympathetic to one another and that you understand the feelings and emotions you both may have experienced as a result of the shared situation and circumstance. So find mutual common ground where you guys can kind of begin a slow and easy conversation towards healing your relationship. That was tip number 7. Now, tip number 8. Be willing to listen. Conflict resolution stems from good listening. In order to heal a damaged family relationship, you must absolutely, and positively be willing to listen to each other. Sometimes you might not want to hear it. You might think in the back of your mind, you lying girl, you lying boy. But you just have to have an open mind to want to listen. Listen. Be willing to listen. Tip number 9. Don't be defensive. Don't be defensive. Defensiveness in an argument just results in deeper conflict. It makes it worse. When reacting defensively, we're actually showing that we're angry and that we're only focused on our own position in the argument. It's like when people say, you're not listening to hear me, you're listening to respond. Okay? We have to get to a point and a place where we're going to let down our defenses, put down the sword, and come into the conversation with an open heart, open mind, and open hands. And again, a willingness to listen with a clear mind and a clear heart, knowing that at the end of the day, we're trying to move forward with healing this damaged and fractured family relationship. And last but not least, tip number 10: be assertive, not aggressive. There is a difference, guys, between being assertive and being aggressive. When you're in a position of aggression, you are coming at the other person. You may use your anger to call the person names or use condescending language, and you may feel big and powerful at that time over that person. You may even feel dominant. But there's actually an unhealthy approach. This is actually an unhealthy approach for the conversation. Okay, and again, this conversation that is being had is meant to cultivate healing, not further division or further conflict. So, again, be assertive and not aggressive. You want to address your family members with assertion and not aggression. To be assertive is to be confident, to believe in oneself and one's opinions, and to respect the other person. When you are being assertive, you are stating your thoughts in a way that can be received by the family member. You're not slamming your words into them aggressively. You're actually speaking in a manner that is clear, courteous, and self assured. Assert yourself and your stance in the conversation with your family. Allow them to assert themselves as well, and maintain dialogue in this manner. This will ultimately lead to a more peaceful and humble conversation instead of an aggressive one leading to further damage. Now, guys, I want to give this disclaimer. It's in my description box. I am not a counselor. I am not an advisor. I am not credentialed to give any type of medical advice or counsel. I am simply speaking as a woman, as a mother, as a wife, as a grandmother, auntie, cousin, sister, daughter, granddaughter, and friend. These 10 tips have definitely helped me personally. And even when you begin the process towards healing your family relationships, this is an ongoing thing. It's an ongoing thing. It just doesn't stop once you exercise these 10 tips. These 10 tips are just to kind of help put you on a path towards being in the right direction towards healing your family relationship. Again, in summarizing and in closing, the 10 tips that have personally helped me to heal my family relationships, and I believe can possibly help you as well. Tip number 1, accepting the situation as it is. Tip number 2, recognizing the part that you play. Tip number 3, putting yourself in the other person's shoes. Tip number 4, understanding that healing will take time. Tip number 5, break the big picture into manageable conversations. Tip number 6, initiate the communication. Tip number 7, establishing common ground. Tip number 8, be willing to listen. Tip number 9, do not be defensive. And tip number 10, be assertive but not aggressive. Once again, ladies, gentlemen, friends, and chat family, I am Pandi of Pandi's Hair, Candy, and More. I hope that something that I have said today has inspired you, has helped you, has moved on your heart. If you are feeling convicted in your spirit, you know that there is a wound or damage in your family dynamic that you've been kind of turning a blind eye to. Because trust me, I done did it myself. I feel like we all have at some point. But without prying or even going any further into detail with your particular personal situation, if you have a situation that you know in the back of your mind, you need to get it right. You need to turn things around. You know that it's hindering your growth, it's hindering your full capability of flourishing and prospering to the next level. I hope that you would take something that was said and shared here on today and apply it and just give it a try. Give it a try. I don't think that you have anything to lose. In fact, I feel like you have everything to gain. If you would do that, I would love to hear a victory report. I would love for you to come back and just drop in the comments, hey, I tried this, thanks for sharing, or whatever, however you want to word it. But I hope that this has helped you in some type of way. Once again, I want to thank you for coming over and taking a look at my content. Marlene, I want to send a big shout out to you for actually asking me to step outside of my box and speak on this particular topic. Um, Thank you all so much for watching the video. If you have enjoyed today's commentary, please do me a favor. Thumbs up the video, please. Or as I like to say, blow dry on that like button. Share the video. Share it on your timeline. Share it on your social media. Share, share, share. Sharing is caring. And if we are not already chat family, please subscribe. You are more than welcome here. More than welcome. Until next time, guys, you all continue to stay safe, continue to stay encouraged, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye-bye.